Hello and welcome to Holdens podcast. Today we have Ashton. He's here to tell us a bit about his story. Ashton's a bare knuckle boxer, as you can see by his eye.
Not a very good one either.
He needs to learn to duck. So Ash, over to you, mate.
Yeah, so thank you for having me on, Dan.
No worries,
much appreciated. Good to be here. My name's Ashton. Bare knuckle boxer, unlicensed boxer, father. Where do I start? So,
take me back to when there was a first with an issue with your mental health and it's affected you.
Okay, so we've got a mutual friend.
Yeah.
Had a mutual friend, Adam Caneen.
Yeah, I remember.
He was my best mate growing up. We had, we went through that sort of formative years where, you know, you're fucking 16 to 21, 22, where it was just working class lads, pubs, parties, beers, drugs, whatever else. And we were inseparable. We were all, to be fair, all of us in the same circle of friends were the same. We were of that mind where it was going out, partying.
Get stuck in a rut like.
Yeah. For me, it wasn't, I never got dragged too deep into it, but pretty much everybody else in that circle of friends all ended up plummeting to the depths of,
self-destruction.
The lads in the circle wouldn't call it addiction, but obviously as you get older and wiser and you sort of look back at it, it's an addiction.
100%.
And I'm not saying addiction was the cause of Ad's death, because I think there was a lot there. I think he had a
lot more.
Yeah, I think there was an existential crisis going on there as well. He struggled with life in general. On the face of things, he was a successful guy. He had a good job, really nice car. He was fucking great with women. He had, he was well paid. He had everything. He had the nice clothes. Always had a smile on his face. Always on holiday. He had fucking scramblers, motorbikes, literally everything a young 20-something lad could want. And on the face of it, if you didn't know him, you'd think this geezer's fucking made it. He's happy as Larry. But I think all of those things that he had didn't complete him as a person. He didn't have
fulfillment.
Of
life.
Yeah, on paper he should be happy as fuck. Yeah. In reality, it doesn't translate.
100%.
And I think he was a very intelligent guy as well, considering some of the choices he made. And I think he over-examined life as a whole, looked at things and just couldn't make sense of the simplest things that we take for granted. Like, we get up, we go to work, we earn a living, we save up a deposit, we buy a house. That didn't click with him. It was like, why the fuck am I doing this? What's the point?
What's the point? You consider the point in it?
Yeah. What reward am I getting for this, other than
I think to
pay my bills, to pay, buy my car, but the things that aren't making me happy anyway.
Yeah, I think with mental health, that is one of the biggest things. Is you can be in a real good situation with life, and if you haven't got that full fulfillment, and if you wake up every morning thinking, why am I doing this? Even though you've got everything, there's obviously a problem. Yeah. 100%, and it's not normal to wake up on a morning and think, why am I doing this again? I mean, don't get me wrong, we all have times where life can get tough.
100%.
But this is why I think it's important for people to know that everyone goes through some rough times. And it isn't easy, but you've just got to keep getting up and going, haven't you, mate?
I think the meat and veg of it is, if you are going through an existential crisis like I would say he was, and you're struggling with life in general, you're going to exasperate that by delving into addiction, substance abuse. You know as well as I do, if you go fucking off the radar on a sesh, your chemical levels in your brain, your serotonin, your cortisol, your dopamine, they don't replenish. So over that following week, your brain is still struggling to balance itself out, so you can't possibly feel happy. Somebody could drop a fucking £1 million on you, and you'd be thankful, but it's not going to make you happy.
I've been there myself when I've took X amount of drugs and drink, and my life's good, but I still wake up on the morning
just hollow.
Like, with no purpose. But it's absolutely what alcohol and whatever other substance you may use, like it strips your spirit away from you. Like the spirit of life is sucked out, and I think once you get stuck in that cycle, if you've got no emotion, every day you're going to keep doing the same thing because you've got no...
He regularly mentioned that about the emotion thing.
Emotion.
He said, you know, I can...
become numb.
When he'd hit a crisis, when he'd, you know, just fucking, it'd be like 2-3 days into it, and there were times where he'd go into, like, crisis, the best word for it, where he'd literally fucking lose himself, he'd be sobbing.
Yeah. It's the emotional side of it, isn't it? There
was times where we'd go around his house, and there was one particular time, which was sort of the beginning of the end, where he crashed his car. He had an M3, and it was fucking beautiful. It was his pride and joy. It was the one thing in his life he hadn't fucked up, and that was his words. And yeah, he fucking may or may not have had a few too many drinks, and lamped it up a curb. Did a lot of damage to it, and we were meant to be doing something on the day, and I messaged him and said, we're still on for later. And he just messaged back, I've crashed my car. And I was on like a family holiday at the time, my first wife, with my daughter, and I literally read it and I knew where he was at mentally, and I thought,
that's going to send him over the edge.
This is going to be a fucking sledgehammer, this is. So I literally said to my missus, I was like, I've got to go. What the fuck do you mean? I was like,
you've got to go back to him.
This is going to be bad, like. So I got to his house, and he was in full-blown crisis. I walked, I ain't going to go too deep into it, to be fair, because it's not really fair for the family and whatever.
Yeah.
But he was in full-blown crisis, and he was emotional, and he fucking sobbed, and this went on for hours. We ended up basically calling an ambulance, tried to sort of get Russell's all crisis team to deal with it, and they were fucking useless, to be fair. Mate. Absolutely fucking useless, shockingly bad. But when we were there, obviously, everything had worn off, all the substances had worn off. He'd emotionally bottomed out, and he'd just gone cold. And he was like,
emotionless then.
So it's pointless me being here now. I'm like, I'm not at risk. You know, that heightened state of emotion I was in, it's gone. I'm just fucking dead inside now. But yeah, it was scary to see, like, how he'd just gone from being like on the verge of, like, you know, he couldn't get a sentence out without choking on his words and crying, and to just, I'm just done now, just done. That was probably, I think, I'm going back fucking 6 years now, but I think that was 2-3 weeks before he eventually killed himself.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a difficult time to be a friend to him, as selfish as that sounds.
That's the trouble. It does affect everybody else around you. Like, it's the pain that comes afterwards. Do you know what I mean?
Well, that was the big thing.
It's a massive. Like, I've lost friends in the past through suicide, and it's like, it's the mental pain that dwells with you for the rest of your life, knowing, could I have done something to help him, or?
You examine every fucking decision.
Yeah, like I've been there myself, where you keep questioning yourself, like, could I have like guided him in a different way, or if there was the right help through the NHS doctors, and would people be considering attempting their own life? You know what I mean? But I think once they get that spirit taken away and they're absolutely numb to life,
it's a ticking time bomb.
I've been there myself. Your brain is a precious thing, and it takes 10 minutes to lose your head.
Yeah.
That's all. Even 10 seconds, that 10 seconds thought of doing something to yourself, it can end your life.
Yeah, literally.
That's how fast it is.
If you have that moment where you are done
moment,
and you act on it, everything changes, you know. And going back to what you just said about you start questioning, you know, how you've interacted with him, whatever else. I remember there being times, because he was so high maintenance as a friend during that like 12-month, 2-year period leading up to his death, where, you know, I'd just had my daughter. She was probably 6 months old at the time he passed away, and like leading up to it, I'd get phone calls off him at like 2 o'clock in the fucking morning, and I remember like distinctively, I'd literally look at my phone and think, oh, can't fucking deal with this tonight. You know, I've got to be up for a night feed in an hour. I ain't dealing with this. You put the phone down, you just fucking ignore it. And then, like, obviously after he did what he did, it's like that shit fucking haunted me for years, where I'd think, maybe that was that phone call, maybe that was that conversation we could have had, maybe we could have tapped onto something there, maybe he was in a clear moment of thinking in that moment and he needed some fucking help or needed a bit of reassurance, and that could have been the conversation that prevented the inevitable. But it's everything, you know. I was a part of that circle of friends up until that last couple of years where, you know, me and him we've ended up in his kitchen until 5 o'clock in the morning. You know, I don't hold myself, I did for a time, as I think a few of us did, sort of hold yourself almost responsible in the fact that, like, you know, I've kind of encouraged this.
Yeah.
You know, there's been times where, you know, I've invited let's make some bad decisions. Let's fuck it. Let's throw caution to the wind tonight and just let's go off the fucking rails.
Yeah, we all make bad decisions. At the end of the day, it's one of them, and it's like we all made mistakes, and we can all. It just takes that wrong circle of people to be around that split second. A few too many drinks, and I guarantee you, if you ain't strong enough to walk away from the first couple of drinks, you will be in the kitchen till 5, 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
That's where it ends up.
And I think
9 times out of 10.
I think you're right in what you said earlier, where, call it for what it is, it's not necessarily cocaine that's the problem, it's the couple of drinks that lead up to the cocaine.
Yeah.
If you're going to, everyone's got a number, ain't they? It's like, you know, for some people it's 2 points. They have 2 points, they're making fucking phone calls.
Yeah,
for other people, they're...
No points? I know people, well...
So I'm going out tonight, so I'll get a bag, and then I'm going to go and, yeah.
It just takes that one little... I think if you do use cocaine, as soon as you've got alcohol in your system, you're a lot more likely to ring one in than...
Well, it lowers your inhibitions, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. Like, everything goes up. You know, you 2 or 3 drinks, everything's out the window, isn't it?
Yeah.
2 or 3 drinks, 4 drinks.
Especially if
game over.
If you're out with your missus, it's one thing. If you're there with all your mates and they've all been at work all week and
they've got all the...
Yeah, everyone's full of energy. It's like, what weekends, you know, what we doing, where we going, let's do this, let's do that, let's do that, let's get one of them, let's get 2 of them. And before you know it, it's...
But like yourself, you choose the gym, don't you? You go to the boxing gym,
yeah.
You know what I mean? That's...
You know what, the gym for me, that was to... Not rectify but yeah, well, it was to keep me on the straight and narrow, because I never had the addiction problems. I never delved too deep into substance abuse. Yeah, I've done bits in the past. I like a social drink, that's about as far as it goes. But off the back of losing Ad, my first marriage failed within months of him passing away.
Yeah.
I kind of had a realigned perception after his death as well, and I had this fucking rude awakening of how brief and fleeting existence is. And it literally occurred to me, it's like, I could die today and all the memories I've made are all the memories I'll ever make. All of the things I've achieved, that's all my achievements done. Yeah. And, you know, tomorrow, if I die today, tomorrow, life just moves on without me.
Moves forward, yeah, straight away.
And, you know, I wasn't happy in my first marriage. Again, I won't go into details because she's, you know, she's the mother of my daughter, and we've got a pretty good relationship now. So, but it failed fucking catastrophically.
Yeah.
But at that point, I was like, you know what, life's too fucking short. I don't care. Happy, yeah, I'm going to make myself happy. But I struggled with grief bad. I know this after the fact. At the time, you just think you're fucking going through the motions. But there was a solid 2 months after we lost Dad where I just couldn't get through a fucking day without a random memory coming into my head, or I'd sit there and check through our messages to each other, or listen to our voice notes, or there's times I took him camping, or we'd gone out in one of his track cars and I'd made videos of it, and I'd go back and watch the videos, and just fucking breaking my heart at work. And that fucked me up for a while, but I ended up, not long after my marriage falling apart, I met my second wife.
Yeah.
And that went really fucking good for 3 years, and then it went really fucking bad. Literally got married, split up 3 months later. Again, won't go into details because I'm still close to the family.
Yeah.
But that was such a catastrophic failure for me, because after losing Ad and then finding this glimmer of hope of like, oh, you know what, life's going to be okay. Yeah, I feel like I've got purpose. I've met my soulmate, I've this, that and the other. And when it came fucking crashing down, it fucking destroyed me.
Yeah.
Bad. And that was where my first proper experience with my mental health came in.
Yeah.
And yeah, it basically followed. I went round to a house and we had a conversation where it became abundantly clear it was over.
Yeah.
And it fucking devastated me. And for the next 2-3 months, I was just full of hate. I absolutely fucking hated everything about life. Not just her, the world, everybody around me. I genuinely wanted to watch the fucking world burn.
Yeah.
And I just started boxing at this point, and my head was such a fucking mess that I couldn't think about anything other than the failed relationship. So every minute of every day, I was just stressing about that, so I had to find some distraction.
Yeah.
And that's what led me into the boxing gym in a big way. I went from going like 2-3 times a week to going like 6 times a week, sometimes 2-3 times a day.
Do you reckon that got you through?
Massively.
Helped you with your mental health and that, like, training?
Yeah, well, I can't explain to you how fucking bad I was at that point.
Yeah.
I wouldn't sleep for days, no drugs or anything, just fucking hate, venom, and dark thoughts for myself. You know, there was so many occasions where I considered just fuck this. I get it now. I get where Ad was at. There is no fucking point in this life. I've had everything taken away from me twice at this point. I've lost 2 marriages. I've lost my best friend. I've lost my house. I've lost fucking everything. And I just thought, I get it. I get where he was at now.
Yeah,
and I'm not scared. It's not even like I fear to do this thing. It's a full-blown conclusion. The only tricky thing for me was, who do I take down with me in the process?
Yeah.
It's fucking weird way of thinking, but obviously when you're in the darkness.
Yeah, you don't think straight, do you?
No, not at all. I'd literally fantasise about, like, who can I make pay? Who's fucked me over? Who can I just fucking...
With that much hate inside, like?
Who can I fucking skin, like? That's how bad it was.
Do you reckon that's what got you into the boxing then? Because you had that much...
You know what it was? I was starting to spar regularly, and because of how bad I was, even like bag work and pad work wasn't distracting. I'd be eating the bag and thinking about how much of a fucking mess my life was. I'd be eating pads and thinking about all the shit decisions I've made. But when I'd spar, I had this singular focus on this fucking geezer in front of me.
Yeah, because I've got them throwing punches back.
Exactly. And there's no mortgage, there's no relationship problems, there's no grief, there's fuck all. Nothing else exists for that 2 minutes where you're in front of that geezer and he's trying to take your fucking head off. All you are thinking is jab, bang, move, slip, move, parry, fucking move. Okay, get on him, fucking jump on him. Fuck me, is it me? Okay, I need to move, need to recover. So in the weirdest way, I'd find these moments of calm in this fucking chaos. And I got to a point where all I wanted to do was fucking spar. I'd go to the gym and I'd just, who's sparring? Then I'd start travelling around to spar and whatever. I'd only been training 3 months, 2 months, sorry, when I had my first fight. I had a conversation in the gym one day with my trainer, and he basically said, he goes, what do you want out of this, like, little fucking journey that you're on? He said, because you're here 6 days a week. He's like, you're training like a pro athlete. Yeah. He said, but there's no goal in it for you. He said, you need a goal. You need somewhere to...
goal.
Yeah, he said, you need somewhere to push this. And I said, well, I just fucking enjoy sparring. I said, I just want to keep punching people. I just want to keep getting punched. That's a big part of it for me, as you can fucking see. I just love feeling something. I said, and I don't feel anything outside of this. My fucking nerve endings are fried. My brain's fried, like, but when I'm in there, nothing else exists. And he said, you think
you like the pain?
At that point, I did, yeah. Now I fucking hate it, but yeah, I'm good at taking it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said, look, he goes, you need to fight. He basically said, look, he goes, listen. He said, years and years ago, I can't remember if he had a relationship breakdown or he'd lost somebody in his family, but he said to me, I had this thing happen. He said, and I was fucked up. He said, and I decided I'm going to distract myself. He said, so I booked a fight. He said, so I knew in 8 weeks' time I was going to fight this geezer. And he said, as soon as I put that date in the calendar, I had that goal, I had that target to work towards. He said, everything else just fell into white noise. So I just focused singularly on that date. And then all of a sudden, I wasn't worried about tomorrow because I knew what I was doing tomorrow. I was doing strength and conditioning on the morning. This is what I was eating. I was doing pads on the evening. It's like, that allows you to deal with tomorrow then. And then all of a sudden tomorrow becomes that week. And then, you know, that times that by 8, you've got your 8 weeks. The next 8 weeks of your life, you ain't got to fucking kill yourself because you've got to fight. And I thought, you know what, there's some fucking backward sense to that. So you know what, fuck it, let's do it, find me a fight. And he said, well, I'm 10 steps ahead, you might have already got yours in 2 weeks' time. I was
2 weeks?
Like, I'm fucking training 2 months, mate. Fucking, he was like, you ready? You ready? Okay, fucking hell, here we go. So, I said, all right, fuck it, let's do it then. He goes, sure you want to shake my hand, you don't know you're fighting? I was like, nah, let's just fucking do it. Shook his hand, he goes, well, I'm going to tell you anyway. He goes, so, his name's Josh Hone. He's had, I think, 10 fights at that point. He says he's known as a bit of a knockout merchant, like he puts people to sleep, heavy hands. He's had a couple of bare knuckle fights as well, and I was just like, he's a bare knuckle boxer, and I'm going on my fucking debut. Oh, fuck it, let's do it. Shook his hand now, can't go back on that. He said, but look, he goes, he's overweight. He says he's probably a light heavyweight. He said, but he's had a couple of years off and he's ballooned up to heavyweight. He said, so you're catching him on the way back down. He says, you're really fucking fit at the minute. So, you know, we're not going to teach you how to box like a professional in 2 weeks. So you're just going to have to mob him with your fitness. And that 2 weeks went by like that. And it was fight day. And I remember thinking on the morning of the fight, I was like...
Was you scared?
Nah, not at all. But prior to that, every fucking day, because where my head was at, there's 24 hours in a day, but each day felt like a fucking year. Because every fucking minute of every day I was just stressing about this, stressing about that, fucking caught up in this, going fucking out of my mind, just driving around trying to find somebody who had a fucking issue with to do whatever. And but from the moment I agreed that fight to put the fucking date in the calendar, it was right.
Yeah.
Time flew. I wasn't stressed about anything. It was just singular focus on getting this fucking right. Like, on the morning of the fight, I woke up, and it was like Christmas. Weirdly, I expected. Yeah, I expected to be scared. I thought I'd be fucking scared, but I wasn't. I was like anxious, but not anxious in the sense of I'm nervous. Anxious in the sense of like I want to fucking do this. I cannot fucking wait. So I was literally in my fucking house just spamming Instagram with fucking boxing updates and fucking listening to drum and bass and just getting myself in the mood. Fucking smashing Haribos, trying to get my sugar up, and I get picked up. We drive to the venue. And like, well, you've been to boxing shows yourself, in They're normally in like a little town hall or a fucking labour club or something. Pulled up at this place and it's a fucking arena.
Is it?
Yeah, mate, it was a fucking arena. It was a big show, CSL in Coventry, I think Sports Connections Arena. And walked through the fucking door and I just knew I was at home. I was like, this is fucking me. Like this massive ring in the middle. Fucking lights. Yeah, there was nobody there at this point other than the crews. They were testing pyrotechnics, testing the sound system. You've got like a group of fighters over here, all having medicals done, weigh-ins done. And
your adrenaline up like?
Yeah, I was just like, this is a bit of me, this is. And for the first time in months, I felt something. I was like, good. Yeah, I felt like, I'm buzzing. I haven't felt good in fucking ages. I'd felt 100% bad every day for that fucking, for the first few months after that breakup. I was like, I don't feel 1% bad today. I feel fucking 100% good. Like, this is fucking exciting. And weighed in, got the medicals done. While they were weighing me in as well, this fucking goes to show you how fucked up I am. They took my blood pressure, and when we're doing it, he's so how many of these you had then? I was like, this is my first one, mate. He was like, what do you mean it's your first one? I was like, my first fight. He's like, well, because I can tell you, you've got the lowest blood pressure out of everybody, yeah? Lowest blood pressure, lowest heart rate. He said, you're calm as a cucumber, yeah? I was like, fucking hell, mate. I don't know how that's come, because I'm fucking buzzing, like. He was like, well, you look all right, like, so let's go. But as that day went on, you sort of go backstage, you're just sort of killing time. You've fought yourself, so you know what the crack is. You're killing time, ain't you?
Yeah.
But I was just buzzing. I was literally shadow boxing from the moment I got there until the moment I had the fucking fight.
Eating Haribos?
Eating Haribos, fucking loads of them. I think it was 3 bags deep at that point. So I just had the medical done. I'd gone backstage, killing time, got my hands wrapped. That was a funny moment as well, because like that's the moment, when it's like, we're here now, like we're fucking boxing. I've got my shorts on, I've got my fucking top off, I've got my hands wrapped
up and
yeah. I can still picture the green room, they call it, like the changing area. It was behind a big curtain, so it's still kind of inside the arena.
Yeah.
And I paced back and forward fucking constantly, 20 steps in each direction. I can tell you where every single fucking mirror was in that changing room. Because every time I go past it, I shadow box, get a little glimpse of myself. Like, I look like a fighter. What the fuck am I doing? How the fuck did I get here? And yeah, so I think I was 4th on the card. And the closer it got to the fight, the more I felt my fucking focus start to really fucking dial in. To begin with, it was almost fun. You know, the first fight was out, and then the second fight was out, and then I'm like, you know what, I'm feeling, the dynamic's changing now. I'm not even having fun now. I just want to go out there and fucking murder somebody. Like, I've had fucking marriage breakdowns, lost my best mate, fucked up childhood, fucking one thing, another thing, this, that, the other. I've got problems with my daughter, everything, and I thought, and here I am now. Like, this is my fucking moment. This is that bit where I fucking bring it back. I was like, and I'm gonna stick it on him. For everything bad that's ever happened to me, he's fucking having it. I hate him from the top of his head to the bottom of his fucking feet. And you find yourself going into this like psychopathic mode, but it's intoxicating. It's like a different kind of fucking substance abuse. It's just adrenaline in its fucking rawest form. It's unfucking real. So they announced the fight. My opponent goes first, and I'm just bouncing on the tips of my toes, waiting for my fucking music to come on, waiting for them to announce me. They announce me, curtains open, and I take a second, I don't go straight out, I'm waiting for the music to drop. And then it drops, and I walk out. Now bear in mind, this was a big fucking arena. I think it was a 2,000 person arena, like 2,500. I did not see a single other person in that fucking building other than him.
Opponent.
Yeah, so all I could see was him. And I walked down the catwalk, get to the rope, and this sounds fucked up, but I was more scared of climbing through the ropes than I was of the fucking fight, literally. Because as I got towards the ropes, I was like, these are spaced differently to the ones at my gym.
Falling over?
Yeah, I was like, how do I do this? Do I go over the top? They're quite like, I just get through them. But then once I was in that ring, before the fight had even started, I felt this massive sense of achievement. It was like, look how fucking far I've come. 2 months ago, I was ready to jump off a fucking bridge. I would have put a fucking gun in my fucking mouth in a fucking heartbeat if it meant that I just felt some fucking relief. And now here I am, I'm fucking existing, and I feel fucking alive. So yeah, the ref pulls us together. I look at my opponent, and he's fucking chomping at the bit to get me. Yeah. He was, even to this day, he was the most gassed up opponent I've fucking come across. He knew what he was doing. Obviously, he's been there a million fucking times before, way more experience than me, but I wasn't intimidated. I was looking at him, and I was just thinking, I've fucking got this. I've got this. You ain't fucking stopping me here. I know it's my debut. I know you know how to box better than me and everything else, but I am not fucking scared of you. Yeah. We touch gloves. We go back to the corners, and then it was so obviously debut unlicensed fight. It's 3 2-minute rounds, which is 6 minutes. It's a short space of time with 1 minute rest rounds.
But when you're in the ring, so it feels a lot longer, doesn't it?
Mate, every fucking round felt like an hour.
An hour, yeah.
But that first round, we went out, and if I'm being honest, I can only tell you about it from watching the video. Yeah. But I was just on autopilot. As soon as I was there, I was moving, I was slipping, I was just fucking doing my thing. I didn't really know how to box very well, and I've been doing it like 2 months at that point. So I barely consider myself a boxer now, let alone then. But we're doing our thing, and they ring the bell for the end of the first round. We go back to our corners. I sit down, and Steve gets in my face, my coach, and he's like, "How are you feeling?" I was like, "I feel really fucking good." He's like, "Look at your opponent." And I looked at him, and he was fucked.
Blowing out his arse.
Yeah. And I was like, "Fuck, mate." I was like, "How am I doing?" He was like, "You're doing all right, like, you're doing all right." He said, "It's about even, so, like, keep doing what you're doing." Yeah. Gave me a bit of advice. He said, "But just fucking enjoy it." I was like, "Mate, I'm enjoying it. I'm here, like." Went back out for the second round. More of the same. I probably put it on him a little bit more in the second. I felt myself landing a few big shots. I had probably fucking 20 people there. It was away in Coventry. And I could hear him. I could hear every time I'd land a big shot, they'd be fucking screaming, and my fucking goosebumps would go up, and I'd buzz a little bit harder. Yeah. And he'd come back, and you know what? The geezer can fucking whack, like. They didn't call him a knockout artist for nothing. He was fucking boxing me up. Perforated my eardrum in the first round with his first shot.
How'd you get on?
So, third round, it was probably my best round. I felt like I was winning the fight at that point. I was fucking turning it up on him because he was fucked at this point. You know, he wasn't fit. To be fair, if he was fit, I'd have been fucked.
Yeah.
But he wasn't fit, so I was swamping him, and I was just going forward. The ref would break us, I'd be straight back on him, landing big shots. And in the last 10 seconds of the fucking last round, he threw a little jab at me, and it lifted my head up. And as my head was up, he's just gone bang, planted a big fucking right hand on my chin. I've got the video. I'll send it you later. And it spins my fucking head all the way around. You could, like, the camera was behind me. Literally see the camera, flick back. My vision's distorted and fucked up. And I'm just looking at him, and he's looking at me like he's expecting me to go down.
Yeah.
And I remember fucking smiling at him. And that was the best part. This is why I'm fucked up and wired backwards. It's my favourite part of that fight was when he planted that big fucking right hand on me and didn't knock me out. That was it. I'll get it now. I'll just go fucking forward. So I jumped on him. Final bell went, they separated us and went back to our corners, whatever, pulled us back in, and the fight was a draw. But he was pissed off about the fact it was a draw. He felt like he won. And watching the video back, if I'm being honest, he probably did.
Yeah.
But I didn't give a fuck because I didn't care about the result. I wasn't in there for the result. I was in there for the fight. I was in there to feel something. Good. And I felt something in a big fucking way that fight. And that whole fucking night, for days afterwards, I was on such a fucking high. Everyone was confused. I was like, what are you buzzing about a draw? I was like, you don't understand. It's the feeling that you get when you're in there that's important. If you feel like you've had a fucking good fight, you've won. Whether the result is fucking regardless. If you can get in there and stare somebody down and be, you know, that fucking situation is terrifying for most people.
Yeah,
like confrontation with a fucking other grown man who's trying to fucking kill you. If you can stand in there and stare at it, unflinching, not fucking scared, not intimidated in the slightest, that's the closest you can feel to God.
We text balls walking in the ring, mate, you know what I mean?
Oh, fuck yeah. Massive balls.
Yeah,
you know yourself.
You know yourself, like to get them gloves on and actually get in the ring and have a fight with another man who's trying to box.
Yeah.
Or even if
if
they ain't
like
trying to box, when you got punches being thrown at you, it's a different kettle of fish. Anyone can get on the bag, do a bit of bag work, but getting in that ring and having someone throw some haymakers at you and getting punched, then that is an eye-opener.
That for me was, that moment was clarity. It was cathartic. I left there feeling like, I know what I'm supposed to do now. Like, I've been lost for the last couple of months.
Gives you a purpose, like?
Yeah, exactly that. It completely realigned my purpose. Before that, my purpose was always meet partner, make progress, buy a house, have kids, buy dogs, fucking get a mortgage, lease a car, this, that and the other.
Yeah.
Sort of bullshit. All of it fucking bullshit. I'd found my purpose then. And don't get me wrong, you know, you need to have a relationship. I think that's important. I think we're social beings. I think we should be bouncing ourselves off another soul. But as a man, we're fucking cavemen. That's all we are. On a biological level, we're fucking cavemen. 100%. We are literally meant to fuck, fight and forage. That's as deep as we get.
Men and basic, you know what I mean? Look, we're quite simple, isn't we, really? All we need 100%. Is that's full belly.
Yeah.
And I ain't going to say anything else, but
empty something else.
And empty something else.
But if you haven't got those things, it was the moment it clicked for me. You know, like we're built for confrontation. We are made to engage in violence, controlled violence. I think, like, you know, this football hooligan stuff and whatever else, like these fucking lads rioting, it's misplaced. I can understand it to a degree because I get that feeling to be a part of something, to get that aggression out on something. Like, so I'm not saying it's, you know, I don't get what they're doing, but doing it in a fucking controlled environment, like set a date.
There's a difference when you're doing it in a ring.
Yeah.
And doing it on the streets to people for no reason whatsoever, you know what I mean? Like, people who go out there and cause trouble, fighting in clubs and bars, and to me, you ain't hard.
You ain't, nah man, I'm your fuck.
You know what I mean?
I'm your fuck. Look at it like this, you've got a group of football hooligans, for them to get to a point where they're happy to engage in a violent confrontation with another man.
There needs to be 20 of them.
There needs to be 20 of them. They need about 10 points each, they need a couple of bags of powder, they need that mob mentality, they need the fucking songs, they need this, they need everybody pushing them, whatever. You take one of those guys and say, right,
get in that ring with him there.
There's a guy in 8 weeks' time who's training to fucking kill you on this date. You're going to fight him. You're going to be on your own. You're going to be sober. There'll be no powder involved, no weapons, nothing, no cameras, and you ain't getting nicked for it either, which is a bonus. You got 8 weeks. Go and prepare yourself for that. Mate, watch them fucking crumble like a wet paper towel.
100%.
Because they ain't hard, men. But going back to what I'm on about, you need to have these things as part of your life. And I'm not just saying like, you know, it has to be a violence thing, but you've got a lot of aggression, a lot of energy.
Yeah.
We are meant to achieve great things as men. You know, we've got a fucking high energy level.
Yeah, we've got to go out there and grind.
You've got to put it somewhere. It's got to be something physical. I don't care whether it's football, volleyball, netball, fucking whatever. But as a bloke, if you're struggling with your mental health, it's a fundamental requirement. You've got to do something with that excess energy.
Like we were saying earlier about depression, I think depression just... People only get depressed when you're sitting there and not doing anything with your life. People get depressed thinking about what they should be doing and them not doing it.
Yeah.
That's what causes depression.
Yeah.
In my eyes, depression is a luxury. Because if you got time to sit there and think about what you should be doing, you wouldn't be depressed if you was doing it. Do you understand?
Well, this is why I'm my happiest now I found boxing, because, you know, boxing isn't just one fight every 12 weeks. Boxing is training twice a day, 5-6 days a week. That's a couple of hours of your day.
Yeah.
But then there's meal prepping, there's sorting your gym kit out the night before work, adding to that a full-time job, adding to that being a dad. I don't get time. There's no spare time in my schedule. If I get spare time, I will sit on the sofa for 45 minutes and fucking collapse into a sleep because I'm not capable of staying awake, because I'm exhausted. And I do believe a tired man is a happy man. You know, if you're sat around with...
Full of energy.
What's the saying? Idle hands are the devil's playground.
Yeah.
If you don't occupy your hands, the devil will. And that's what leads to your substance abuse. That's what leads to your alcohol abuse, whatever.
It's boredom, innit?
But yeah, boredom.
Being bored, a man being bored is very...
It's dangerous.
Dangerous. You know what I mean? It's a dangerous place to be in when you're bored. Like sitting around doing nothing, not knowing what to do. Like you say, you need a structure.
100%.
100%. Structure will get you through each day.
Structure, routine. You've got to have it hasn't got to be a set routine, but this is what helps me. I need to know what I'm doing from one day to the next. You look at my calendar.
And drink, bro?
No, I'm good, bro, thank you. There's 6 or 7 things planned in pretty much every day for the next 2 months. If there's a spare day, it's, you know, it's purely because I just haven't penned anything in, but chances are that day I'm going to make myself busy. I think routine's essential. Yeah. I think where a lot of people fuck up as well is they'll use that spare time in a negative way, so just sit and play fucking Call of Duty for 6 hours, or, you know, go down the pub just because they've got nothing else to do. Like, read a fucking book.
Yeah.
I went through a phase a couple of years back, reading philosophy books, Jordan Peterson, Alexander Solzhenitsyn, the Stoics.
Learn about the mind, like.
Yeah, exactly that, to figure out
how the brain processes.
Yeah, why the fuck we do what we do, the way we do it.
And having an understanding why we do it.
Exactly. And that one in particular, Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules of Life, that was... So I had a friend who was going for a rough time. He was in the same circle of friends as me and Ad, another one of my best friends. And he suffered badly with the loss of Ad.
Yeah.
But he had he was in a similar situation to me, and he just had so many bad things happen to him in such a short space of time. His dad got diagnosed terminally ill with cancer, and he didn't get a very long broadcast. I think it was 6 months from diagnosis to death. On top of that, he had a legal battle with another family member regarding the will, where the house goes and whatever, which he had to sort of fund out of his pocket. Meanwhile, he'd folded his own business so he could care for his dad. He made a lot of fucking sacrifices. And I ordered that book randomly off Amazon because I heard it was a good fucking book. And it got delivered. I was living at his house at the time because it was after my first marriage broke down. And he received that book, and he opened it by mistake. But he messaged me when I was at work. He was like, mate, he said, you know this book? He said, I've opened it by mistake, sorry, but can I borrow this? Do you mind if I read this before you? I was like, yeah, go for it, mate. I'm still working through the last one, like, do your thing. And that book literally became his Bible. And if fucking, if people could take lessons from any book, that's a fucking big one, because it is, don't get me wrong, it's deep reading, and it's the sort of thing you'll read a paragraph and then click and kind of have to go back through it and read it again. But there's so many lessons in there on the simplest of things, like how to interact with your kids, the role model you should be for your kids, the way you should interact with other people, the way you should walk, the way you should talk, the way you should address people, the way you should carry yourself. All of these subtle, fundamental things that we just forget to do, that are simple changes that'll make you feel
better.
Yeah, more confident. You'll just talk more.
I think that's a big issue in 2024. A man is being demoralised from his nature.
Yeah, don't get me started on that.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I
like, and this is why I think there's a lot more mental health now than maybe there was 50 years ago, even 20 years ago.
I think life's overcomplicated.
Too complicated.
Back in, the 50s, 60s,
it's very it's simple.
You had to grind, and there wasn't much distraction to be found at the best of times. No one was glued to their phone for hours on end. Nobody was comparing their lives to what they're seeing on Instagram and, thinking, well, why ain't I got a fucking Merc? It's like, because you don't want fucking 30 grand of fucking debt, that's why.
Everything that you see, like, flash, unless you've got £1 million in the bank, everything's on finance or...
Mate, the Instagram culture's bullshit.
It does. Like, last week I had to have a bit of downtime, like. I had nearly a week off Instagram because I've spent that much time looking through stuff. I will get no stuff to myself.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I have to do it occasionally where I have to remind myself, like, I'll be cooking and I'll just be fucking scrolling. I'll be looking at the washing up, just fucking scrolling. And occasionally it clicks, it's like, what the fuck are you doing? Put it down, it's going to take no energy to get that done. You do it, you feel better for it. It's like little wins.
I think it takes all your energy, or it takes a lot of your energy.
How shocking is it when you get that message at the end of the week? It's like, you've averaged 7 hours screen time this week. Like, how the fuck did I do that? 7 hours a day? It's like, no fucking way have I done that.
Just think what else you could be doing in that time. I think the worst for me is on a night. I get back from work and have my tea, and I find that me and my missus, we have to, like, recognise that there's no interaction there because we're both on our phones. And I think that's the biggest issue in a relationship these days, because I don't know if you've experienced it, but when you're both sitting there on your phone, it gives you a different perspective. Like, there's no interaction, is there?
Yeah.
Like, you can lose your connection with your partner.
I was listening to a podcast the other day, and they interviewed, I think I was interviewing an actor or somebody, and he was talking about a director that he knew. Yeah. And he said he's like one of the big directors. I think he's the guy who did Interstellar and Batman Begins and all that stuff. I'm sure it was him. And they said he's got a flip phone, one of the old school flip phones that just does calls and texts, fuck all else. And he grilled him on it. He's like, what the fuck do you do when you're waiting in a queue? He's like, I just experienced being in a fucking queue. It's like, well, what about when you're out fucking shopping or whatever, like, how do you just occupy those couple of seconds here and there? It's like, I have a fucking conversation with people, I interact with people. It's like, and you will gain something on a very fundamental level that humans require, which is being social. We're social beings, like, we're tribal.
That's the government and trying to take that away from us, bro. I'll give you an example. In Waitrose, in Wolverhampton, a lot of their tills now have gone, like, self-checkout.
So you haven't even got to interact with the
Majority
cashier.
of people that shop at Waitrose are over the age of 50.
Right.
If you look at the stats on Google, there's a lot more elderly shop at Waitrose than there is younger. Do you think they've got the mental wisdom?
They're not of the technological generation.
I don't think my nan would be able to go into a shop and use a self-checkout, so I can't see where they're going with it, like.
Yeah, well, you've also got the same with the NHS now, haven't you? Like, if you're, I might be paraphrasing this, but I've heard it from somewhere where you book your appointments through an app now. If you're on prescriptions, they're all on an app.
Oh yeah,
so,
it's getting a doctor's appointment now. It's all apps and...
Mate, I've been to the doctor in fucking years, so I wouldn't know. But it's like, that's great for me and you. We can probably figure... It's going to be frustrating, but we'll figure it out.
It's great for me, mate, because
yeah,
I can just about send a text message.
But for your 70-year-old nan, who, probably it's one of them who uses a finger on the phone and that's about it. She's never going to figure it out. She's going to be missing appointments. She's going to be missing prescriptions.
That's what they want now. You know what I mean? That's what I think.
Another sort of level of control.
It's all control, and like the way the world's going now is, well, not necessarily the world. Like this country's, it's a lot to do with controlling it.
Yeah, it's a slippery fucking slope, man. But again, it's an important device as long as you use it correctly.
Yeah.
If you bury your fucking head in it all day, you're gonna fuck yourself up.
It can. Obviously, it's got its advantages, but it's also has got its disadvantages.
But then I look at like the positives it's brought for me. So
yeah.
Again, like two. Cause I've only been boxing 2.5 years, so I'm very fucking new to it. I've pushed so much in that short space of time. I've built up some fucking serious contacts. And this is what again, these are like other reasons why it's been such a fucking positive journey for me. I grew up as a kid, working class kid, and I had the admiration for the fucking local hard man. Or like, you'd see like books or videos for like Roy Shaw, Lenny McLean, or like the old school fucking hard man. I was obsessed with them. When I was a kid, I used to watch like Bare Knuckle Boxing documentaries, whatever. You see these names. Remember Danny Dyer's Deadliest Men?
Yeah, yeah.
So there was a guy on Danny Dyer's Deadliest Men called Dominic Negus. And he was like a hard knock debt collector from down London. Real like well-known enforcer for some big crime families and whatever else.
Yeah.
And as fucking time's gone on, and I've gone down this journey of boxing. He's an ex-boxer. He boxed Audley Harrison at Wembley. He's like famous because he fucking headbutted Audley Harrison about 4 or 5 times. I think he got disqualified.
What, in the fight?
Yeah. He's nuts, absolute nuts. East End hard man like, but
yeah.
But yeah, it's like randomly one day he pops up on my Instagram. Dominic Negus is following you. I was like, the fuck? And then he starts liking posts, and I think I put a post up something about saying, I think I've been at the gym and I was like, I'm too old for this shit. Now this geezer's, I think he's mid-50s, and he's just been on BKB in London a couple of months ago.
Explain what's BKB?
So BKB is a bare knuckle boxing promotion.
Okay.
So the geezer's 56 and he's fighting on BKB, and he replied to my post and he sent me a voice note. And I was like, fucking hell, Dominic Negus sent me a voice note. And I sent one back, and we're going backwards and forwards for a bit, and it's like little glimmers like that just reinforce like this is a good choice here that I'm doing. I know it's fucking dodgy, bare knuckle boxing, unlicensed boxing, whatever. I know it sounds scary, but there's so many little like moments of good, moments of positive. Like 15-year-old me would be fucking buzzing to be getting a message off Dominic Negus. Another guy. So when I was younger, I watched a bare knuckle boxing documentary on a guy named. It was on various people, but one of them was Nate J-Dog.
Yeah.
Judah. He's from up north, hard knock, hard guy. The documentary is about him. Also struggled with his mental health, and it was sort of about that. I'll find you a link to it actually, but it's about how mental health ties into boxing and whatever.
Yeah.
But he was like the main character for it because the guy was in a bad way. He had a lot of health problems, a lot of mental health problems. Now, he's one of my main sparring partners now. When I go over to Stoke, I'm now sparring with the guy who I grew up watching on fucking documentaries. It's like these little moments for me are fucking...
Coming real like.
Yeah, it's everything like. And I'm not a fucking big name in this scene by a long shot. And I'm just getting started. I've had 1 bare knuckle fight, 8 unlicensed boxing matches. It's like, I'm just getting started. And these are the things I try and fucking tell people about. It's like, if you're gonna go on a journey like this, it's not just about the big wins. Like, it's not just about, oh yeah, I knocked out so-and-so in this place, or I went the distance with this guy who's had 380 fights. It's like, look to every little bit of this fucking journey. If you know how to look for it, there's so much fucking good to be found there.
It's the contacts, like you say, you're meeting new people all the time, aren't you?
Exactly. But
when's your next fight then?
So I've got 3 more gloved fights this year. So my bare knuckle fight last year, I ended up getting my ear peeled off basically. I had 9 stitches in my ear, I think 3 across the top to sort of sew it back on, and I fractured the metacarpals in my hand. So I haven't been able to fight since May. So I've got 3 more this year, and then 1 bare knuckle in spring. So
let me training now.
what do you think?